Chapter 51 Youth Like Spring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The funding problem of the real industry is a big problem, so this aspect needs to be kept in mind by everyone. This is for everyone to listen to, so that everyone can take it to heart, but everyone present here knows who this is for. Qing pursed her lips, not wanting to show that she knew, but Vice President Dong didn't say much, and sat back in his seat. Mr. Gu had no choice but to step forward and speak. Ahem. He cleared his throat. Qing took a deep breath and said with a smile, funds are indeed a big problem for our company. Whether I chose the smart home appliance industry as a desperate choice, or I gambled heavily on new products and talent recruitment plans, these funds are spent in sums. I know Vice President Dong's heart is bleeding. Originally, the money was used to invest in other industries, such as P2P and shared products. If we tell a good story, we can go public and make money. Everyone is full of oil, or we can dig deep into boundary monument, let consumers who have money sign up for membership, and those who have no money watch advertisements to earn advertising fees. Information, earn a lot of money, and through overseas trusts, the money earned by these black places can be perfectly laundered. But I want to say, a man can do something and not do something. I want to stand up and make money, and even fight off those who seize our chassis, and make money by /and-burn farming, so please forgive my domineering and stubbornness. But now it seems that it is just a little tiring to make money standing upright, but there is still money to be made. Our factory has already embarked on the right path. The products rely on the strong cost performance and do not worry about sales at all, and because many parts are made by ourselves. The modified highly intelligent precision industrial robot is processed and manufactured, and the yield rate is far higher than that of the peers, and the cost is much lower. If the turnover of our smart home appliances reaches 100 million, then those foreign competitors will need to invest more than 200 million in production consumption in addition to R&D funds. Coupled with smart programs and industry-leading 3D precision modeling, those people how to fight with us. So at present, the project of smart home appliances can continue to go on. After the users who purchased this big promotion during the 11.11 celebrations use it, word of mouth will ferment. What we are facing is a new round of production pressure. This is indeed a disadvantage of the real industry. Too much capital is required, the investment is large, the profit is slow, and it is easy to lose money if you invest in the wrong project, but we obviously don't have to worry about this problem. Boundary monument, as a software control terminal, in the future, users can control all our company's products by voice through mobile phones, computers, and even smartwatches. Major foreign brands such as Siemens, Samsung, and Panasonic do not have the smart terminal, boundary monument. We have already taken the first step in the Internet of Everything, so what we need next is to take the next step steadily, step by step, and kick out those foreign manufacturers that have occupied our industry's profits for countless years. Clap clap clap. After Qing's words fell, everyone present was excited. Man is a rational creature, but his blood boils for a declaration that sounds idiot but passionate. Mr. Gu, who did something but didn't do something, although his speech was a bit idiot, but he succeeded in setting everyone on fire. This is actually related to the quality of the participants as a whole. First of all, except for Luo Songtang, everyone else is young people who have just graduated or graduated a few years ago. Someone once said, youth is like early spring, like the morning sun, like the sprouting of 100 flowers, like the new hair of a sharp knife. It is also the most precious period of life. Therefore, youth should be. In those difficult years, there were batch after batch of young people who struggled with enthusiasm and hard-earned knowledge. In this era of college students walking everywhere, there will be many such young people. Today, when the great summer is in its heyday, it is the opportunity to get it by groping hard in the dark and investing heavily in education for all. Seeing that even Dong Qi, who is usually very rational, looked excited, Qing felt very relieved. If young people dare not dream and work hard for their dreams, then this nation will have no future, because the amount of knowledge he has mastered has increased too much, and the accumulation of 2 generations of people. Qing looks back on the past, and often feels how far-sighted those great men and strugglers were. Even today, 100 years later, they have seen it and planted the seeds for today. After everyone vented their excitement for a while, he went on to say, this physical road of independent innovation is doomed to be full of thorns. But we also have many partners. For example, an elder invited me to participate in their official launch of Xiawei Mate 10 series on October 16 in Munich, Germany. If all goes well, I will also attend the Xiawei Mate 10 series launch event at the Pudong Oriental Sports Center on October 20. According to him, our Boundary Monument 1.1 Enterprise Custom Edition and Boundary Monument Security Shield 1.0 both take up a lot of space in the process. Well, Xiawei gave me an invitation fee of 100,000 yuan, which can be regarded as generating income for the company. When Qing said this, everyone in the conference room laughed. My big boss really has face, but they didn't know that if their boss had agreed to Xiawei's acquisition at Xiawei's research office, the income in his pocket would not be 100,000 Xia yuan, but 10 small goals as a guarantee, because at that time, Xiawei and several technical leaders were participating in the Boundary Monument comparison exhibition in the research room. After the actual comparison and inspection, the bosses shook their heads one after another, expressing their incomprehension, and then warmly invited Mr. Gu to teach the road. Mr. Gu nodded. Under the unfathomable hospitality, he talked about the future direction as well as the limitations and solutions of Android. Then Mr. Ren patted Xiao Gu on the shoulder with the eyes. He looked at his son, and said that Xiawei needed this kind of long-sighted person, and he did not hide his appreciation in his words, and even promised him a small seat. You must know that Xiawei is not a well-known brand in the mobile phone market at this time, but it is one of the best in the communication field, and it will be the leader in the 5G field in the future. However, everyone has their own ambitions. Qing politely declined the big brother's kindness, but Mr. Ren, who had been smeared of face, still ignored the previous suspicions, and invited this ignorant young man to participate in the subsequent product launch conference on the spot. People are always different. The reason why Mr. Ren can become the leader of a company in the technology field is naturally not the narrow-mindedness of some people who rely on storytelling. Chapter 52 Arriving in Germany. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course, this certainly does not include rice companies. It's just that Huang Chaoren still subconsciously complained. Dami officially released the second-generation full-screen mobile phone Mix 2 at the Autumn New Product Launch Conference held in Yanjing on the afternoon of September 11. In other words, the Snapdragon 835 processor has been optimized in cooperation with Kyushu Technology, and its performance is stronger. It supports QC 3.0, supports dual-card 6-mode 43-frequency full netcom, and supports performance acceleration. Don't even talk about showing us an advertisement or showing your face. Although there are no outsiders here, Huang Chaoren's statement is still a bit immature. How can he speak ill of someone in an internal executive meeting? But Qing knew Lao Huang well. If he hadn't been annoyed by Zhang De from Rice, he wouldn't be so outspoken. After all, a person is harassed every day. No matter how calm he is, he will still feel a little depressed. It's good time to vent. Minister Huang is angry, and I understand it very well, but in terms of facts, people gave money, we received the money, and we can do things. If the cooperation is not pleasant, we will talk about other things next year when our bodies are hardened. Qing comforted her, but Huang Chaoren's eyes lit up and he heard the implication. Mr. Gu, you mean next year, shall we? Well, when the time comes, let's get together and get away with them. Now you just bear with it, and you can be liberated after a few more months with that Zhang Dexu. Specifying a date for a decadent and depressed person is like specifying a holiday time for a high school student who hasn't had a holiday for a month in a row. Huang Chaoren immediately felt that everything was acceptable. The two of them fought for a while, and then returned to the topic. If everyone has no problems, then our relocation and integration plan will start when I return from Munich, Germany. The first step will be the integration of financial and administrative personnel, and the customer service office area of the incubator park will still be reserved. Okay, Mr. Gu. After rectifying the morale of the army, Qing was relieved and prepared to be invited to cross the border. Many people say that Xiawei releases products abroad first and then releases them in China, which is a typical example of looking down on the domestic market, but these people never thought about brand reputation and international status. Xiawei's new mobile phones are generally released in Munich, Germany, in order to promote their products faster and achieve a sensational effect. Not only in Munich, but in the past few years, Xiawei also released new products in London, England, Paris, France, Berlin, Germany and other places. Of course, it also released new products in Daxia Pudong once. What Xiawei wants to build is an international brand that can rival or even exceed Qing and Apple. If he chooses to develop a conference in China first, it will not be conducive to building an international brand. This is the same as Qing choosing to develop a conference in the United States or Europe every year. Of course, thanks to the quality and performance of mobile phones and powerful functions, Xiawei is already a first-line brand in the international market, and this time the Mate 10 series conference is a publicity conference for Xiawei to hit the top of the line. Munich is the second largest financial center in Germany, after Frankfurt, one of the main economic, cultural, technological and transportation centers in Germany, and one of the important publishing centers in Europe. Society. And Xiawei chose to release Mate 10 in Munich, which can promote her products faster and achieve a sensational effect. The time was neither too fast nor too slow, and it wasn't until Qing got off the plane and set foot on a strange land that he realized that October 16 was almost here. For an important partner like Qing, Xiawei had someone specially assigned to greet him at the airport, but as soon as he got off the plane, Qing was smiling when he saw that the beautiful woman who was supposed to pick him up was replaced by a middle-aged man born in the 1960s. Brother Qingdong, how can I bother you to pick up the plane? It's not too much trouble for you. With a look of reminiscence, Qing and the former big mouth hugged each other and patted their shoulders. Oh, what else do we see? It's not like I'm going to be on stage in 2 days, brother, I feel a little bored, I came out to pick you up to relax, do you have any assistants with you? Boss Gu smiled wryly and shook his head, where does our small company have the money to hire some assistants? I'm always flying economy class this time. Yu Qingdong didn't ask the other party where the money he gave in the afternoon went, which seemed a bit out of place. Then did you sleep on the plane? If you're not sleepy, go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, so you can beat the jet lag. Going abroad for the first time, Qing was still a little excited, so he really didn't sleep on the plane, but there is no big problem. The time difference between Germany and Daxia is about 6 or 7 hours, and young people can still live stably. It's okay, I've always been in good spirits. Those who do system research need to be in good spirits so as not to be dazzled by the data. Brother, I will take you to the Palace Hotel first. This is a classic feast restaurant in Munich. We can have delicious food and wine later. Revel in the Baroque ambience with a view of Karlsplatz. Yu Qingdong chatted along the Huatu. He is a confident and proud person, but he is not so enthusiastic about ordinary people. But for this genius who surprised him several times in the laboratory, Yu Qingdong called him care. After all, it might be possible to become a colleague someday. In everyone's understanding, Germans have more serious stereotypes, and in terms of diet, beer and bread are famous, but in fact, Germany is not as good as Daxia in terms of food, but in Europe, which is a food desert, it can be regarded as one of the best. All kinds of German sausages, as well as German barbecue, good quality wine. And beer are famous in Europe and Asia. The beer in the Palace Hotel is very famous. After listening to Yu Qingdong chatting on the road, Qing knew that the history of this store can be said to be very long. Originally exclusive to the German court, it was built in 1589 during the period of William V, but it has been open to ordinary citizens as early as 1828. The Palace Beer Hall has a Renaissance-style architectural style. The ground floor is a large banquet hall that can accommodate about 1,000 people. Wind music performances are staged regularly every day. The beer garden here allows tourists to deeply experience the beer carnival in the city center. And with the passage of time and history, it has become one of the must-see attractions in Munich. Although business is public, private is private, but we will have a good meal tonight, and there will be other partners at that time. You can communicate with each other and get to know each other. I only represent Xiawei, and I also hope that our partners will have a good development. P.S. Anyone watch it? I turned off when no one looked at me. Funny. Chapter 53 Xiawei Press Conference. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hops Germany, Munich, Shine Ephemeris October 16, 1017, weather, sunny, from intelligence to wisdom, disruptive innovations often start with brave attempts. As Xiawei's annual flagship Xiawei Mate 10 series, Xiawei Company has devoted a lot of effort, and the lineup of the conference is naturally extremely luxurious. The leading general was Yu Qingdong, who was born in the 1960s, and the rest were executives from various departments, executives in the supply chain, and even the president. The combination of the Kirin 970 chip and the new generation of EMUI 8.0 software and hardware has made the inside intelligence go a step further. It is also equipped with a Xiawei full-view display 1, inheriting the excellent genes of Leica's dual camera and making a breakthrough again to increase the aperture to double f/1.6. In addition, Xiawei Mate 10 series also inherits its consistent product advantages in performance and battery life. A few months ago, Boundary Monument, which was popular in Android phones in the summer, and its Kyushu technology company also reached a strategic partnership agreement with our company. The performance acceleration, power-saving optimization and various powerful functions it provides will be given to users bring unparalleled intelligent future life and privacy data security protection. Here I need to focus on Boundary Monument Security Shield 1.0. The first function is Security Shield Detection, which scans mobile phone vulnerabilities and software violations. It can detect illegal activities including but not limited to mobile phone software and hardware secretly opening the network to upload user information, recording user private information, and stealing corporate files. The second function is the Boundary Monument Guardian mode. When this function is turned on, the mobile phone will establish a smart shadow system and enter the Boundary Monument Guardian mode, that is, any information you enter will deceive the software's records and keep your privacy highly confidential. The software and hardware require you to provide private information. In this mode, you can choose to provide false information to continue using the software and hardware functions, or reject their actions and give up using the functions. We learned that because of consumer protection, Boundary Monument cannot be loaded on mobile phones outside Daxia, nor can it be used outside Daxia, so we negotiated with Kyushu Technology several times, and finally reached an agreement. The annual flagship Xiawei Mate 10 series will be able to carry Jianbei 1.1 Enterprise Customized Edition, and Genli Security Shield 1.0, and it is not restricted by national borders. European and American users can also enjoy the world's top Android system optimization and security shield protection. In addition, after Xiawei Mate 9 Porsche design has been sought after by consumers all over the world, this release also brought surprises to global users who love Porsche design. Xiawei Mate 10 Porsche design came again as promised. In his speech, Yu Qingdong, CEO of Xiawei Consumer Business, was full of confidence, and went on to say, in the era of artificial intelligence, mobile phones will become people's intelligent assistants. Today, Xiawei Mate 10 creatively integrates AI-specific. The NPU neural network unit has taken a pioneering step in end-to-end artificial intelligence. Xiawei Mate 10 will open the era of smartphones. Equipped with Kirin artificial intelligence mobile phone chip, let the mobile phone understand you better. Looking at Yu Qingdong, who was talking casually, one word came to Gu Qing's mind unconsciously: you can't resist pretending to be serious. The Kirin 970 chip adopts TSMC 10 nanometers process, and integrates 5.5 billion transistors on a fingernail-sized chip, including 8-core CPU, 12-core GPU, dual ISP and innovative high AI mobile computing architecture. Creatively integrating NPU, Neural Network Processing Unit, dedicated hardware processing unit, the AI computing power has about 25 times the performance and 50 times the energy efficiency compared with the 4 Cortex A73 cores. Since Xiawei started the strategic cooperation with Kyushu Science and Technology Company half a year ago, Gu Qing has gone to Xiawei's laboratory the most times. Of course, it is definitely not for greedy for other laboratory equipment, nor for stealing some nutrition to optimize his own. Xuanwu, Xiawei's artificial intelligence technology was forcibly added by Gu Qing. Xiawei Mate 10 series has the ability of independent thinking and judgment, which is part of the technology of intelligent sweeping robots, bringing traditional photography into a new stage of intelligent photography. during the shooting process, it can analyze the shooting objects in real time, and intelligently recognize up to 16 kinds of scenes and objects, so as to automatically adjust the parameter settings according to the characteristics and attributes of the objects, and use smarter algorithms to bid farewell to the stereotyped shooting parameter settings. Every shot can achieve better results, allowing more users to experience the excitement of photography. Coupled with the full screen and 4000 mAh high-capacity battery, Xiawei is really bold enough to introduce the advanced smart power-saving technology of Boundary Monument. Sitting under the stage, Qing couldn't help feeling that there are no worthless people under the fame. Some envy inevitably rose in my heart. There is money and technology, and there is a market for products. As a little-known private enterprise, it is really a miracle that Xiawei can grow from a small communication equipment manufacturer to the world's top mobile phone manufacturer. Moreover, it has its own high-end technology, chip design, artificial intelligence, and communication technology. These are all cost-effective assembly plants that cannot be achieved in a few years, but at this moment, Xiawei put down this series of big moves. Just like entering a dungeon, a hero character suddenly used 3 heroic big moves, Leica's camera and photography tuning teaching, Kyushu Technology Company's system black technology optimization and security, as well as the speed-up of the Android system, plus Xiawei's own Kirin chip and years of technology accumulation. This is simply the output. A flying dragon riding face, and other first-tier manufacturers can at best dominate Xia in small areas. If you do this, the list of entities won't be advanced, right? Qing complained secretly. Think about it this year, what did Apple come up with? There seemed to be iPhone X, iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus. At the press conference held in September, among the available technologies were support for 3D touch pressure-sensitive operation, HDR display, and the use of Face ID face recognition technology. Wireless charging function, support IP67 level waterproof and dustproof. The equipped A11 Bionic processor adds support for artificial intelligence neural network and AR. And another big manufacturer, Xing, naturally continues to be strong in its old field screen and color adjustment. Well, wireless charging and pressure-sensitive operation can still beat Xiawei. Although these two technologies are not difficult, they still have technological advantages. In the field of high-end mobile phones, including system performance, Xiawei can compete with Apple by 5. Let's open 5. Of course, if you talk about safety, then Apple will lose points. After all, the Prism Gate incident and the senior officials of the United States have said that Apple mobile phones have their own background, which can monitor mobile phones at any time. MADA, Europe and the United States are really up to date. I like to invade privacy the most, but accuse others of violating privacy every day. Yu Qingdong spoke passionately on the stage, but he didn't know that the good guy in his eyes was thinking about several wars and how he should be a fisherman. P.S. Good night. Chapter 54 Germans in Impression. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Life is easy and the sky is hard to grow old. The Double Ninth Festival is every year, and today is the Double Ninth Festival. The yellow flowers on the battlefield are extraordinarily fragrant. The annual autumn wind is strong, not like spring, but better than spring. The river is boundless and the sky is frosty. October in the Gregorian calendar is actually a very wonderful month. In October in the lunar calendar, there are Qing festivals, and there are also Double Ninth festivals for thinking and praying. Thinking of the wish in his heart, Qing recited a poem by a great man, then left the hotel arranged by Xiawei refreshed, and took the car to his destination today. This time I came to Germany, but I really didn't want to listen to other people's press conferences, but planned to be the first son of overseas deployment. Of course, the most important thing is that several big platforms receive funds, otherwise Qing would rather refit a few more industrial robots in his small factory to increase productivity. Wouldn't it be good? For all industrial companies that want to go overseas, what is the most important thing? It can be said that there are many most important places to pay attention to, but in Qing's view, a safe, economical and practical storage and maintenance factory is the most important. The former can place enough products, and the latter is the most important after-sales service that can be given to customers. From the perspective of ordinary people, The first stop overseas when going to sea is often to choose the United States, as the fintech hegemony in the world, the United States does have enough charm to attract all small bosses to earn dollars. But Qing deeply remembers in his last life, what kind of out-of-the-box tricks the United States used when others might threaten him: warehouse fires, corporate executives and talented technologists committing suicide, policy restrictions and even fines, public opinion condemnation. There are so many tricks to bring down a company that is gradually growing well, so Germany, the looming big brother on the European continent, has become another choice. What UK? What you are talking about is that Lafayette controlled the government. The Crown Prince was unable to succeed for a long time, except for repairing the yard all day long, drinking tea and trying to isolate himself as the former world overlord. This script is so familiar, so the status of this country should also be familiar. The old pirate had long been beaten on the beach by the tide of the times, and all that was left was the broken ship and a bunch of old antiques, and Germany is now one of the main sites of many cross-border e-commerce platforms, and cross-border sellers have an increasing demand for German overseas warehouses. So more logistics companies provide German overseas warehouse storage services. What's even more amazing is that these cross-border e-commerce companies generally set up overseas warehouses in Frankfurt, Munich, Berlin, Hamburg, Cologne, etc., and Xiawei still has some connections in Munich, so he can still talk about things. Of course, Qing himself did some investigation and research with Junguo, focusing on small companies that are easy to acquire. However, he later discovered that if the domestic company in Daxia is the main body and conducts cross-border e-commerce sales only in Germany, then in this case, the domestic company only needs to apply for a VAT number from the German Finance Bureau, and only needs to apply for a VAT number in Germany. VAT declarations are made every month. However, if you want to set up a new company or acquire a company in Germany, you need to pay value-added tax, year-end corporate income tax and business tax in accordance with local German requirements. But what's the use of just selling? Only by owning a large company and recruiting enough local employees will the government, river crab, give you a good face, and even dare not suppress you at will. In the end, Zmelman Storage Company was selected by Junguo. Zmelman means carpenter in German, and this storage company is indeed an industry founded by an old carpenter. It mainly places furniture and materials for furniture dealers, and charges storage and maintenance fees. The scale of this company is actually not large. It serves furniture stores around Munich. At its peak, there were only more than 100 employees. However, with the development of logistics, the involution of the furniture manufacturing industry, and the entry of cheap furniture from the Great Xia Kingdom, Zmelman's customers either went bankrupt and changed jobs, or the volume of goods dropped sharply, or they found a small warehouse by themselves. Shipping saves costs, so the third generation of Zmelman Storage Company took office, and after the old man passed away, he began to actively seek to sell the property. After all, I don't feel bad about selling my father's land. Although the price is a little higher, the intention of selling it is very sincere. After all, if I don't sell it, my income will get lower and lower every year, and I will pay a lot of taxes. Sooner or later, I will go bankrupt. As for the ambition, to strive for the success of Zmelman Warehouse. I'm sorry, the three generations who are addicted to art have long been looking forward to Shu. In fact, Qing also understands this rich third generation. After all, the entire European market is not very easy. There is no opportunity to plunder global resources like in the last century. Pirates and hunters are much less capable of self-reliance and farming. At least compared with the Chinese race, this is the case. It is not a big problem to acquire this company. After all, Daxia has invested and purchased many industries in Germany. For example, in 2016, Medi spent 4.6 billion euros to acquire about 86% of the shares of KUKA, robots. In 2016 and 2015, Daxia Chemical acquired 100% equity of Krauss Maffei, industrial machinery, for 925 million euros. In 2013, Weichai Power acquired 32% of Kion Group, Kion, forklift, and 90%, hydraulic pressure, of Linde Company for 1.167 billion. In 2013, Chint Group merged Conergy, solar panels, when Gu Qing saw this long list of information, he was in admiration in his heart, so he didn't have too much pressure to acquire this small company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. After all, the value of this Smelman storage company is the land, factory buildings, and employees. As for the patented technology, old technologies such as wood drying and maintenance, and warehouse deworming are not put in the eyes of the government at all. Sitting in the car and looking at the materials, and browsing exotic scenery from time to time, it is still very relaxing, but not long after, the phone rang. Hello. Hello, Mr. Gu, this is the hotline of Schultz Law Firm. I am the lawyer serving you, told Schneider. Some blunt English came from the other end of the phone. The image of a middle-aged man with a beard and a serious face on the phone immediately appeared in Gu Qing's mind. Hello, Lawyer Schneider, I'm Gu Qing. Mr. Gu, I'm already waiting at the appointed place. Please remember to bring your ID. I will serve you wholeheartedly after signing the relevant agreement. Tua Ursi said methodically. Gu Qing naturally agreed, and then hung up the phone. As for the Schultz law firm, Xiawei was recommended by the relevant bosses of the company. Of course, Gu Qing also checked the information. Schultz, Schutze, in German means, debt collectors. Schulthei, Schuldhei, is an old German law firm. Chapter 55 Panda's Influence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tulsi Schneider, in German, the latter Schneider is a surname, which generally refers to a tailor, which means that this person's ancestor is likely to be a famous tailor. Of course, in Europe, the tailors hundreds of years ago were not poor people. They were the guests of the noble lords or the subjects in the territory. 39-year-old Tulsi Schneider is a somewhat stagnant, or calm person, but in the coffee shop, there is a trace of expectation in his eyes from time to time. Yes, although he is a respected person in Germany compared with the lawyer who earns a lot of money from the poor, he still needs to receive customers and sign bills to make money. Of course, it is a sweet burden, a warm family and newborn twin babies, which give him motivation. Germany's welfare system and treatment are among the top in the world, but just like the United States, which one is better or worse between free subsidized schools and high-fee private schools? Especially now that the economy in Europe as a whole is not very good, Schneider wants to sign the bill even more. He came to wait for the customer half an hour in advance, and the other party was coming soon after checking the time. After tidying up his suit collar and hairstyle, he took a few deep breaths. Not long after, a casually dressed yellow man approached the coffee shop. Intuition told him that the client had arrived. He got up and hurried forward to greet the other party. Are you Lawyer Schneider? Gu Qing asked politely. Of course, he had already seen the information and photos of the other party, so there was no problem of identifying the wrong person. Yes, hello, Mr. Gu, I'm Thor Schneider, please come in, I've already reserved a seat. Schneider replied with a smile. Because of family reasons, his smile didn't look rigid or hypocritical, and there is no contempt for Asians of yellow race. Thank you. Gu Qing nodded his thanks. It is indeed a bit strange to drink coffee from others without giving him any money. De Guzin nodded and led him in. Mr. Gu, please take a look at the relevant treaty documents. If there is no problem, you can sign in the lower right corner of the last 5 pages. Germans all have a proficient signature, mainly because they have to sign documents since they were young, and these documents always have to write many signatures many times. Because Gu Qing was from Daxia introduced by Xia to the executives, the agreement was still in Chinese, English and German, and it was roughly responsible for some of Gu Qing's legal affairs during his stay in Germany. Of course, as we all know, law firms in Europe and the United States are inextricably linked with politicians. So many things are done by lawyers, such as lobbying. Does Mr. Gu need help with company affairs in Germany? Schneider took the signed document from Gu Qing and asked carefully. The main reason is that the company affairs vary from big to small, and his percentage of commission and the money he gets have also changed. It can be regarded as a company matter. I wonder if Mr. Schneider knows about the acquisition of the company's business. Gu Qing nodded with a smile and asked back, by the company. This is a big fish. Sure enough, the client Xia introduced to the company would not be for trivial matters. Mr. Gu, I once led and contacted Xiawei's asset acquisition in Munich. so I think I should be able to help you gain something. Schneider nodded in greeting. Then I'm very lucky, Mr. Schneider. Gu Qing replied with a smile. Please call me Tuo Ersi. I don't have many friends in Daxia, but I really hope to take my wife and children to travel to your country one day. It is said that your Great Wall has a history of thousands of years. Oh, how is that? Great miracle. Who says Germans are rigid? Hearing that there was a big order to take, this man who was about to reach middle age took the initiative to get closer. Big Xia not only has a history of thousands of years, but there are living fossil creatures like pandas in the city where my company is located. Mr. Torsi, I hope you can have a wonderful journey in Daxia in the future. Torsi, who originally had a fairly normal expression, immediately lit up his eyes when he heard the word panda. Pandas? Cute black and white animals. That's an amazing and endearing animal. It's a godsend. Oh, my kids and my wife and I love pandas, they're so cute. Did you know that there are panda wallpapers and posters on the walls of our house? There are panda puppets everywhere, and even the bed sheets and slippers are all panda patterns. My wife's happiest form of entertainment is watching panda live broadcasts on YouTube every day. Her dream is to be a panda breeder. Gu Qing and Yu Rongyan nodded. Although he was a little caught off guard by Tuo Ersi's change of expression, he was still a little calm. Perhaps many people don't know why foreigners love pandas so much. In fact, there are still many twists and turns. Under the influence of hundreds of years of education and capital in Europe and the United States, in order to avoid class conflicts, they have created a lot of personalities and compatibility, as well as political correctness. The whole body of the panda is made of black and white, and it lives in Asia, which perfectly conforms to the correctness of the equality of the human race. Panda is a bear, Titanic is still a carnivore, but it has changed itself and become a vegetarian. Sustainists who gnaw bamboo and eat apples, in the eyes of Europeans and Americans with a lot of one-sided Virgin Mary attributes, are simply holy things. Look, the panda is a powerful bear-like carnivore, but it is a vegetarian. In the end, the panda is still a viviparous animal. And monogamy. The ethnic group used to be very large, but now it is extremely rare. So in the eyes of foreigners, this is simply a perfect animal. Through this national treasure, Gu Qing and Tuo Ersi had a pleasant conversation, and of course both parties did it deliberately. So the Munich government is not disgusted with Daxia's acquisition? Yes, at least in non-high-tech business acquisitions, the government has not interfered, and Daxia businessmen don't like to participate in politics, so everyone is not hostile. Torsi smiled and nodded, then raised his hand. Coffee, took a sip. I don't like to participate in politics. In fact, it is caused by the early official-based thinking, but two trends have formed in Europe and the United States. In the United States, if you don't participate in politics and dare not speak out, you deserve to be exploited and oppressed to the bottom, even black people. In Europe, where the traditional feudal rule has gone too far, if you don't participate in politics and just want to be a commoner, then you are a normal person. How you treat it depends on the local atmosphere and the influence of public opinion. After chatting for a while about policy issues related to the acquisition, in Gu Qing's opinion, Torsi is indeed worthy of his price. With a lot of professional knowledge, political sensitivity is not low, and even has a keen and objective view on the economy. You must know that this is very valuable in European countries, because many Europeans actually do not understand the current world economic situation and perfect welfare policies, and have cultivated too many people who are too lazy to look at the world seriously and objectively. P.S. Panda Nemesis, Wanzai Pun Pun Nai. Chapter 56 The Art of Language, How to Translate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Thors, do you know anything about Smelman Warehousing Company in the suburbs of Munich? Gu Qing then started a formal business conversation. However, as I said before, fate is always wonderful. Torsi's eyes lit up, and he said, Mr. Smelman was a client of our law firm back then. Oh. What a coincidence. Yes, there was a fire in Smelman's warehouse 10 years ago. At that time, my mentor won the insurance lawsuit for Mr. Smelman, which saved Smelman from bankruptcy. Oh. It seems that there is a story about the fire. Gu Qing asked with a smile. After all, the face of the German insurance company is still guaranteed, and the premium will not be blacked out. I don't know the specifics of this, sorry. Will he not know about the case of his mentor? No, it's just a requirement of professional ethics, or in other words, the benefits are not big, so it's not worth mentioning. Then do you know that the current boss of Smelman Storage Company wants to sell the company? Gu Qing then asked. How is it possible? Smelman Warehousing Company is Mr. Smelman's family business. Thors was a little surprised. The Germans or Europeans have a possessive desire for the family business, just like the possessive desire of the kings from all over the country before the unification of China. Nothing is impossible. Now the head of the Smelman Storage Company is the grandson of the old Mr. Smelman. It is only natural for the young master to want to lose the sunset industry and get funds for other industries. Then, Mr. Gu, wait for 10 minutes, and I will inquire about the sale of the Smelman Storage Company. Of course, you should be busy. Giving money is for people to do things, so Gu Qing took a sip of the coffee calmly, felt a bit bitter, and put down the coffee again. Tuo Ersi nodded, then got up and walked outside the store, and started making phone calls. This is the advantage of cooperating with a powerful law firm. There are contacts available whether in the public office or in the dark. After all, a lawyer will always be useful in this life. Seeing Torsi nodding in various ways outside, taking out a small notebook to write and draw from time to time, Gu Qing picked up the coffee again and took a sip, made, still bitter. The Smelman Storage Company is still providing warehousing services for furniture stores around Munich. However, due to the reduction in business, most of the employees have been dismissed. The current number of employees is 30, and they plan to dismiss some employees. It can be seen that its business situation is indeed in trouble. Mr. Smelman Jr. does intend to sell the family business, and because of the layoffs and salary cut some time ago, Smelman's company is facing several lawsuits, but even so, the price that Mr. Smelman revealed to the outside world is still no less than 2 million euros. Tuo Ersi picked up his notebook and introduced it to Gu Qing one by one. That's right, Germany uses euros. 2 million euros is more than 15 million yuan, roughly 7.5 exchange rate in 2017. 2 million euros. Does it include the warehouse and land of the storage company? Gu Qing asked. Tulls nodded with a smile, and said with a kind of confidence in the nation, yes, the warehouse, the land, and the previous company's business are all sold. The price of 2 million euros was definitely more than 10 years ago. So you just want to find a taker when you're down, and you want to get rid of the money-losing business? Gu Qing said with a playful expression. I'm sorry Mr. Gu, I don't know the loss of the specific business that Smelman Storage Company currently retains, but I want to apologize to you. Torsi stood up and bowed halfway. Although the larger the transaction amount, the more small money he will get, but the most important thing is to ensure that the transaction is completed. In order to support his family, he felt that he could no longer seduce this shrewd fox-like Chinese man. I accept your apology, Mr. Torsi, but I think you should ask about the situation again, and try to find out the real psychological price of the other party, otherwise I may not have so long to discuss this business. After all, you should know that I will be going back to Daxia soon. Gu Qing narrowed his eyes slightly and said, what I want to express roughly is, if you want to make money, give the labor and management a good job and do it quickly, otherwise the labor and management will leave in a few days, and you will not get anything except a little entrustment money. You idiot don't know. Then please allow me another 10 minutes, I need more information. Please. Gu Qing waved his hand and didn't say much. Seeing that Tuo Ersi went out to make a phone call again, he closed his eyes. Humans always like routines, both in business and part-time jobs, so can't we be more sincere with less routines? In order to make more money, wasting everyone's time is really a waste of my time. After a while, Torsi returned to his seat. This time, his expression was much more sincere, and there were fewer pleasantries in his words. The loss-making business of Smelman Storage Company mainly comes from the furniture and other materials placed by previous customers. These things need special care, adjust the humidity from time to time, and occupy a lot of warehouse storage space. Smelman Storage Company currently owns a company real estate covering an area of more than 105 mu, with an available storage area of 51,142 square meters. Mr. Gu, if you want to acquire Smelman Storage Company, then I personally suggest that you can keep the general manager of the company, Kohler Heyman, because he is a good manager with noble character and leadership ability. What does it mean to be a good manager with high moral character and leadership skills? A person who is free from the taints of corruption and bribery is called a noble character. Without him, more than half of the workers would leave, which is called leadership. Translate again, that is to say, you don't want this person, this mailman storage company. Buying it is equivalent to buying an empty shell, and the workers make trouble, and you can't manage it. I'm afraid you want to go back to the country. It's troublesome, and if you don't know the place where you live, it's hard to tell if something happens. Well, for the employees and managers of Smelman Storage Company, I have no intention of dismissing them for the time being, so you don't have to worry about it. Of course, you can also tell your friends that I invest with a sincere heart. My company has a good output of products in Daxia, so I need a storage place that can take care of the products for me, and there are old employees who are familiar with the business, which is what I wish for. Torsi nodded in agreement, and said, I know Mr. Gu, you are a good person, and Daxia's investment in our Germany often does not liquidate employees, so we welcome Daxia's investment. Chapter 57 People are profit-seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So we welcome Daxia merchants to invest. This is actually a basic tone, which means, this acquisition will not have too much interference from other aspects, such as the government. There will be no obstacles, some are just a question of price and specific project responsibilities. Of course, among them, Gu Qing's compatriots gave a very good help. People who are stupid and have a lot of money and don't lay off employees are good friends of the German people. We welcome those who come to spread money. So how much money do you need now? Gu Qing asked seriously. At this time, what he needs is a real and specific price that can be traded. Maybe someone thinks that a lawyer can know the exact price. It is true that, although the exact number cannot be known, besides being a lawyer, Torsi at this moment has another identity, that is, white gloves, the messenger of the exchange of opinions between the two sides, and it is a person with professional ethics, which is not much better than a stranger. 1.7 million euros, Mr. Gu, you can have it, a perfect team and excellent safe storage, they can perfectly protect your products, on the land of Germany. Thors replied. Safe storage in case of fire. Torsi, who was speechless for a while, still smiled wryly. Mr. Gu, this is the lowest price I can ask, and you should know that although Mailman Storage Company is located in the suburbs, it still covers an area of more than 105 square meters. Acres of company real estate, available storage area of 51142, they are not cheap. Of course, if you think about it differently, Gu Qing will only think that the price is simply cheap. The most expensive land in Germany is Munich. The average housing price in the urban area is only 20,000 to 30,000 yuan, but if it is placed in Yanjing or Pudong, 20,000 yuan. There are more than this price in the villages and the city, and it is even a question of whether you are qualified to buy it. Therefore, only from the comparison of housing prices in first-tier cities with developed countries, Daxia businessmen know it well, and it is naturally very happy to give money. Maybe this is also a blessing in disguise. Funny. 1.7 million euros, how about this? You can try to lower the price by 100,000 euros, and I will give you 30,000 euros of it. Life in Germany is not easy now, jobs are hard to find, and wages are not as high as before. 30,000 euros is enough to cover half a year's expenses for the Thors family, so Torsi's breathing became a little short. I like win-win cooperation, so Mr. Tolls, you have an afternoon. At 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I need to sign. No problem, then Mr. Gu, please follow me to the office to sign the relevant agreement, so that I can have more freedom to negotiate the price for you and discuss some details of the acquisition. Torsi said, forcibly calming down. However, he was already secretly calculating the profit of this order in his heart. At least 50,000 euros could not escape, isn't it just 100,000 euros? Kohler Heyman will regress for the sake of his brothers and employees, otherwise how will he pay taxes this year? You must know that Germany and the United States have the same place, death and taxes cannot be avoided. needless to say, corporate income tax and business tax, but German companies also have a solidarity tax, which is the so-called solidarity tax levied after the reunification of East and West Germany to solve the financial burden brought by the unification and to promote the development of the Eastern region. The solidarity tax is based on the tax amount of the corporate income tax. The taxation method is the same as the corporate income tax. In addition to taxes, German companies also have to bear part of the social welfare expenses of employees, the so-called additional wage costs, including social welfare expenses such as unemployment insurance, medical care, accidental injuries, and pension insurance jointly with employees. Although many German entrepreneurs have been criticizing the heavy burden in this area and requesting national legislative reforms to reduce the burden on enterprises, there has not been much progress. The more than €1 million of the Zmelman storage company was actually sold at a low price, but after the economic downturn and the fire insurance incident that year, the insurance company blocked the company uniformly, or raised its premiums very high, in addition to the monthly salary. Expenditure of 30 employees. We must know that the average monthly salary in Germany is about €3,000, and 30 employees will spend about €100,000 a month, when everyone is in the quagmire, wish to step on your feet and take the plate for you. Joke, however, Gu Qing has his own plan. After taking over, he will not lay off staff or cut salary due to contract and policy reasons. Then stage-by-stage assessment, and then intelligent industrial management, and later build this site into the European continental branch of Kyushu Technology Company. Sitting in Torsi's car, Gu Qing went to Schultz's law firm and signed the letter for a long time under the gaze of a group of blondes. Happy cooperation, Mr. Gu. Pleasant cooperation. Gu Qing replied, and held up the mineral water he wanted specially, and Tua Ursi did the same, touching the glass. The two drank it in one gulp. Then, Mr. Gu, please wait for the good news. Tua Si said with a smile. I also wish Mr. Tolls all the best. After the two shook hands, Tua Ursi sent Gu Qing out of the office. I saw Gu Qing got into a taxi and disappeared into the street. Lawyer Tulsi Schneider, who was still full of gentlemanly demeanor just now, immediately clenched his fist and waved it in the air. God! Go. Loosening his tie, the gentleman immediately trotted to his parking space while talking on the phone. Kohler. Oh, my good brother, this is the angel Tors, I brought you the gift of God. Believe me, Tors, if you're joking, it must be cloudy today. The voice on the other end of the phone was a little muffled. The world where angels descend is full of holy light of glory. Torsi brought you the golden light of the Daxia merchant. Oh, do you know how much time it took me to get him to buy the dilapidated wooden house? In the conversation between the two, there was no stereotyped German seriousness in the impression of others, but more of the French-like joking and lively. Xuanwu, check the relationship between all the personnel of this Smailman storage company and Torsi. Just in case, Gu Qing entered the command on the mobile phone. There was no news until a few minutes after the order was issued. Gu Qing originally planned to read each article slowly, but the more clever, Xuanwu, directly enlarged and bolded the relationship between Thors and Kohler Heyman at the top. Needless to say, good childhood friends, why did Torsi's mentor accept the case when a fire broke out? It is also the love that Kohler asked for through Torsi, and of course he gave Jean Cancan a lot. So the two of them made an offer to act as a double read? Gu Qing teased, of course, he didn't have any other thoughts at the moment. After all, the price was fair, and he couldn't feel cheated and angry just because the two knew each other. Chapter 58. It's so fast to sell the father's land. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What the hell? Increase the premium. Only when Gu Qing saw this situation did he understand. After Junior's mailman took over, he saw that the market prospects were not good, and the employees were on long-term contracts. Once the insurance premiums rose and the taxes were paid, could they still make money? It would be strange not to pay back the old foundation. That's why there are more than €1 million, which can be called a leaked price, but not many people are interested until he comes. After looking through the information for a while, Xiawei's people called. After all, they are partners, so food and accommodation are arranged. Went to have a hasty meal, because he didn't want to smell second-hand smoke and didn't want to drink. So Gu Qing resigned early. There is always some gap between the younger generation and the older generation's social circle. Some are because of the three views, and some are because they don't like smoking and drinking to clear the way, after eating and drinking enough, and refusing the glamorous room service. Gu Qing's guest room became quiet. During the meal, Yu Qingdong reminded him that he was going to fly back to the Bank of China press conference the day after tomorrow, so he had no idea about going out to have fun at night, so as not to cause trouble in vain. The hotel bed was very soft. Gu Qing fell asleep after closing his eyes for several hours. Early the next morning, after breakfast, Gu Qing greeted Xiawei's people and left the hotel. When we arrived at this mailman law firm, Torsi was already waiting at the door. Mr. Gu, everything is going well, 1.6 million euros. Torsi said in a low voice. Oh. Tell me about your brother's other conditions. Gu Qing asked with a smile. Brother. Hearing this word, Torsi was stunned. Business is business. Let's talk about the conditions first. I think it can be done. If it can't be done, then let's talk about it later. Thank you for your generosity. Torsi said with a little apology. With such a low price, you need to take over the orders that previous customers have placed long ago, as well as the government's regional employment requirements. 30 people can't be less. No, it is not allowed to lower the salary below the industry average, and it is not allowed to engage in any illegal industry, because it is next to the small town, so it is not allowed to engage in pornography, gambling and drug industry. German sex transaction trade legal, part legal for anesthesia. Is that all? Yes, the specific others are some small terms. Have you talked with Little's mailman? Gu Qing asked again. This is the condition that Mr. Mailman Jr. discussed with Kohler Heyman. If you bring all your documents, you can sign the contract today. After the government process is completed and the final payment is paid, you are Zmail, the new owner of Meyerman Warehouse Company. Torsi said very seriously. Gu Qing didn't bother to wait, so he nodded and said directly, let's go to the storage factory to have a look. If there is no problem, we will sign the contract first tonight, and I will return to China tomorrow. During this period, you have full authority to handle related matters. Thank you for your trust. Then I will make a phone call to contact the other side, and then rush to the suburbs. There is nothing you can do. Gu Qing's legs felt a little numb in the wind and lightning, and he didn't feel relieved until his feet landed on the ground. There is no speed limit on German highways, and he is in a hurry, so the old driver Tuo Ersi showed off his driving skills. Mr. Gu, how is my driving skills? Torsi pointed to the watch. Very nice. My coming-of-age ceremony back then was a modified Mercedes-Benz. I really miss the passionate years at that time. Remember when you were drunk and driving and got spanked by Uncle Schneider? A slightly muscular man with black-rimmed glasses suddenly stepped forward and said. This is Kohler Heyman, my childhood friend. Cole, this is Mr. Gu Qing from Daxia. Tuo Ersi introduced each other for the two, and Gu Qing also shook hands with him. Mr. Mailman Jr. is already waiting in the company office. Mr. Gu, please. Gu Qing is also very courageous. He dared to follow two strange German men to a deserted place by himself. Zmelman Storage Company is next to a small town. Many people in this town used to be employees of this company, but now there are only 30 people still working there. When you open the gate, you will see a small square with various traffic signs and road planning. Because the furniture needs to be transported by truck, the road planning and design of the company's campus have been modified. Kohler introduced on the side. There are 3 buildings on the front. These 3 buildings have 3 floors, but the height of the floors is about 4 meters, and there is a small office building on the right-hand side of the small square. Gu Qing thought that the young Zmelman was so smart, and since this was an industry passed down from his family, it would definitely be a bit troublesome to talk about cooperation. As a result, this little Mr. Zmelman, as expected of a typical Western businessman, sold the former family business cleanly while talking and laughing, and he promised that he would never intervene to interfere with Gu Qing's management of the company. Of course, this was also written in the contract. So far, Zmelman Storage Company will change its name to Jojo Technology O Warehouse Service Company without accident. After the event was completed, there was originally a small party, but Gu Qing cancelled it because he was leaving tomorrow. Of course, Mr. Mailman looked relaxed. After all, according to the rules, small parties need to be arranged and paid for by him. Back in the urban area, he went to the office to sign a long-term contract with Torsi, and asked him to be in charge of the subsequent government review process, before Gu Qing returned to the big soft bed in the hotel. I flicked my sleeves and threw out more than 10 million yuan. Alas, money is a bastard, it rolls away really fast. He keenly grasped the first ray of dawn before the rising sun jumped out of the horizon to shine in the east. The red sun is rising, and its way is bright, because Xiawei Company will hold the launch event of Xiawei Mate 10 series at the Pudong Oriental Sports Center on October 20th. Gu Qing naturally took a flight with Yu Qingdong as a way to catch the heat. Of course, it is definitely not for free business class. However, I have to say that lying down in business class is much more comfortable, and the most important thing young people should learn is how to protect their waists. Gu Qing's body clock is pretty good, and after waking up to appreciate the sunrise for a while, he began to plan to sacrifice to the temple of the 5 internal organs. German airplane meals are well balanced and industrial, as if carefully designed. A fresh green salad was served with some fruit and served with a large cut of beef with an additional fruit on its own forehead. Although as a business owner who has completed a cross-border trip, Mr. Gu still doesn't like to eat beef that is not fully cooked, but wasting food is shameful. Fortunately, Yu Qingdong saw the little brother's embarrassment, and said softly, "Mr. Gu, if you don't like beef, let's change it." Then, "Thank you, brother Yu." Gu Qing naturally changed the meal quickly. Chapter 59. What is a pig teammate? You are listening at novelfull.audio. While eating, Yu Qingdong chatted with emotion. "I still remember the flight from Yanjing to Berlin at the end of October last year. There was a sandwich bread that was delicious. Later, when I stayed in the Munich laboratory, looking for German food everywhere, sausage, barbecue, beer, these foods are not very consistent with a serious nation from the public's point of view, but I really want to say that Germans are also people. They are also people who want to eat meat, and they will eat meat when they are hungry. Knowing how to scold mothers, how can there be so many serious self-disciplines engraved in the bones? It is just acquired education. Brother, you said that education does make people have different realms and thoughts. The time when our great Xia focused on education has not completely reincarnated a generation, but now young people's perspectives are already very broad, and the future will be even better. I think the most fundamental thing in education is to cultivate a person's spirit. His horizons can be broadened, but his spirit must not go in the wrong direction. Alas, let's not talk about it. I have talked too much these days, and my throat feels uncomfortable. Yu Qingdong waved his hands wearily. Gu Qing somewhat knew why this middle-aged man felt tired when he talked about this matter, so he didn't want to say more. "It's not that I don't work hard, but that my teammates are too resourceful." After Xiawei's press conference ended, there was a demonic wind in Daxia's country, because the press conference announced the pricing of foreign mobile phones. Some self-media said that Xiawei's foreign prices are low, and domestic prices are high, and even the saying Navy military has traces. In fact, many claims cannot stand scrutiny. Anyone who really checks with their fingers will know that the domestic price of Xiawei's flagship product has always been lower than the foreign price, but there are many people in the market who say that Xiawei, because the price sold abroad is lower than that in China, it is because domestic users are subsidizing foreign users. What else is Xiawei not worth selling for thousands of dollars? Not worthy of selling at the same price as Apple and Han Xing, even if Xiawei's highest price is lower than these two. This is the result of marketing trolls. After all, on the internet, those who have independent consciousness and will actively inquire about official information, compared to the huge number of internet users, are only a minority. I hope that when Kyushu's products go overseas, there won't be any troubles from pig teammates. Gu Qing looked at the floating clouds outside the window, his eyes drifting away. What is a pig teammate? The Rice mobile phone that uses the partner's technology and does not announce it is actually not counted, but the Rice that is attacking the home appliance market counts. Why go to sea? The country can no longer live in peace. As early as August 31, 2016, at the 16th Autumn Communication Meeting of Rice's ecological chain, Rice officially released the latest intelligent product of its brand Mijia, Rice Sweeping Robot, priced at 1,699 yuan, and the product was launched in 2016 on September 6. It was put on the Rice Net and the Rice House for the first sale. So what can this sweeping robot do? Mijia app remote control. Even if there is no one at home, you can easily sweep the floor. Real-time cleaning map. You can check the position and cleaning path of the robot at any time. Cleaning mode switching. 3 modes, quiet, standard and powerful, suitable for different cleaning scenarios. Appointment cleaning. Every day/weekend/working day can be scheduled at will, and it will work automatically. Originally, at the price of 1,700 yuan, buying this kind of smart product is actually cost-effective, but this year's 11th celebration promotion, the sweeping robot market has come a long way. The basic model of the Kyushu Technology Intelligent Sweeping Robot is 990 yuan. It has functions that the Rice Sweeping Robot does not have. The Rice Sweeping Robot has some functions. It is better than Rice, not to mention that the intelligence of Kyushu Technology's sweeping robot has beaten a lot of 1,000 yuan products. It won't bypass wires, won't evade children, won't evade Ali. You deserve an intelligent sweeping robot. Give you a face. How many thousand? Looking at the Kyushu Technology sweeping robot shown by friends or on the internet, and looking at the mentally handicapped sweeping robot on their own floors, many users have chosen to upgrade and use Kyushu Technology once. So after the period of the 11th celebration, after the show-off of users, many people either followed suit, or were early adopters, or because of life needs, they started a new round of ordering. In contrast, except for the sales of Kyushu Technology's sweeping robots, which have been selling well, the sales of other brands of sweeping robots have all begun to decline. At first, the relevant persons in charge of these companies felt that it was normal for their sales to drop. After all, the National Day celebrations made consumers happy to shop, and their wallets were naturally flattened, but a few days later, looking at the sales of products in the industry on the platform, Kyushu Technology is the top seller and has been selling well, and many of them are sour. Damn it, at this price, you won't lose a few hundred to 1,000 yuan if you sell one. Dog profiteer, smash the plate, right? That they are cursing that the sales of Kyushu Technology will be cut in half every day, but they can see that the sales of Kyushu Technology's sweeping robots are firmly in the first place after refreshing every day. Of course, Zhang Lu, the person in charge of the rice company, had long been keenly aware of this situation. At first, he just typed up a report and thought it was just a flash in the pan. Then, he frowned, counted the sales slashes of Kyushu Technology that had not fallen during these days, and went to the department manager's office to discuss. Finally, here comes today. What does your department do? The folder was thrown on the head of the department manager, and many documents were scattered, but this middle-aged man who was smashed could only bite the bullet and accept Shangfeng's blame. I am the person in charge of the sweeping robot project in our department, and I submitted the report last week. Zhang Lu stood up. Poor God, the second he opened his mouth, he regretted it. You submitted the report? To whom? The male executive asked coldly. Give it to the manager. Hearing this, the middle-aged manager finally resigned to his fate and closed his eyes. Manager Lu, from now on, if you suspend work, the company will start an internal review of you, and you. The executive pointed to Zhang Lu and said, continue to follow up and be in charge of this project for the time being, and write a detailed report on the industry situation of sweeping robots, and hand it to me before leaving. Get off work today. This matter is done. You just sit in this office. If you can't do it well, then you should be conscious. Zhang Lu's scalp tingled when he heard this, but under the gaze of the executive, he still bowed and nodded in response. The executive nodded slightly, then left the office without saying anything more. I hope that Manager Lu can cooperate with the review. The company will not give up any useful people easily. And this little brother, write the report well. The vice president is a good leader who is serious but will give people opportunities. The accompanying secretary said a few words like aftermath, and left the office as well.